Awesome. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Welcome, everyone. Looking forward to today's conversation of Let's Talk Money. We have our guest with us, Miss Dasha Kennedy, the broke black girl. We're so excited for this conversation. As you're entering the room, drop in the chat. Let us know where you're joining us from. If there are specific questions that are top of mind for you, if there are nuggets you're hoping to get out of today's conversation, we want to know those too. We've prepared to have a great conversation here with Deja and Attorney Crump. He will be joining us today as well. But we want to make sure that everyone who took some time out of your schedule, you get some things that you came here for, and even some things that you didn't even know you needed. That's the goal today. A few housekeeping things I want to make sure we get an opportunity to touch on before we start. First of all, I'm Dana Cox. I'm the head of product and user experience here at DreamFi, and I'll be the host for today's conversation. Spending part of your lunchtime with us, so hopefully you got a little sandwich or a snack or something, and keep yourself fed for this discussion. But we're going to also make sure that you get fed as well. It's also, we're going to say everyone's already automatically on mute, so settle in. Questions as they come in, we have Brittany and Hannah. They're going to be helping us out with those, but feel free, drop them in the chat. We will be moderating that. Any questions that you have, please drop them in. Also, this is a safe space. We want to create a safe environment for people to get the information that they came here for. And so this is not a space for promotion or anything like that. So that is not what this is. So want to make sure that put that out there right now on the table so everybody understands. So any promotional links and things of that nature, please don't drop those in the chat. They will be removed. And so we're going to go ahead and get started. So first, I want to just introduce everyone to Deja. Some of you probably already follow her, but she is a nationally recognized financial advocate, the founder of The Broke Black Girl, and one of the most trusted, I would say, judgment-free voices where it comes to debt, money, and starting over. Attorney Crump will be joining us. He is the co-founder and what we like to call the chief dream builder here at DreamFi. He will be joining us shortly, and we will bring him right in as he comes in, as we do all the time. And but Deja, you also wrote a book as well, correct?
Yes. Yep. I did
Moving
moving
beyond
beyond
broke.
broke. Yep.
Yes, yes, yes. I have it on my bookshelf, so I'm gonna have to crack it open and get and jump into it because I'm sure that there are some great nuggets there. But as we get started, Deja, I just want to kind of start with you built a whole movement actually
Yep.
around talking about money from an honest place. What made you start, and what do people most need to hear?
Well, back when I started back in 2017, I really didn't have a goal to become a financial advocate or even a financial educator. I just wanted a safe space where I could be honest and learn out loud. So I felt the only way to have that space was to create that space of my own. And I wanted people to know, like, my reality was I was broke. I didn't have all of the answers. I wanted to figure this out and I didn't want to do it by myself. So instead of me being met with judgment, I was met with a bunch of people saying, I can relate to that too. That's me. And we spent the last few years just learning together. And it has just been so amazing. What I realized very quickly was like people were not looking for an expert or someone that was condescending or talk down to them. They wanted someone who would just be honest. And I feel like I did really good with creating that space. If it's one thing that I would want people to hear, it would have been something that I would have needed to hear back in 2017 is that your financial mistakes, they don't define you. Like you don't have to be stuck at one space because you made a mistake 10 years ago and you're still letting that cloud hang over your head. Your next decision, I would say, matters so much more than the last one.
That's so good. And so, so many people are frozen by debt, embarrassment, fill in the adjective, right? What's the mental
Mhm.
shift that turns, I'll never dig out of this, or this is too much, into a first move of action and decision?
I think when it comes to that, and this is something that I struggle with and I still see it a lot, is everyone is trying to fix everything at one time. So if you have $5,000, because that could be a lot to someone, or $50,000 worth of debt, we are always looking at that whole number and trying to fix everything at once. And that's what ends up making debt more emotional than it has to be, because more than anything, debt is really math. Like, the numbers are never going to change. It's one way to deal with it, and that's with math. So while the emotions are real and valid because that's what you feel, the only way around it is math. So instead of asking ourselves, like, how can I get out of all of this debt today? I
Mhm.
think the biggest question becomes, okay, what's my next move? And so I developed this strategy. For me, it's just how my brain works, and I call it micro hacking when it comes to dealing with anything financial. So I'm thinking about, what's the smallest thing? What's a micro move that I can make today that can push me a little bit further to dealing with this debt? And that may look like simply opening up an app and seeing what do you have going on with the debt. That may look like calling and figuring out exactly what you owe. Like, you owe something or you owe someone, but do you know how much? Do you know where programs are available? That could even look like, maybe today all I can make is $10 towards the debt. That's still you moving forward. You're building some momentum, even if you're not getting rid of everything overnight. I think it's so important when it comes to shifting our mind, when it comes to debt, is understanding how powerful small moves are.
That's so good, so good. You know, what's a lot of times we hear a lot of advice, right? And
Mhm.
some advice, pieces of advice about money sound responsible, but
Yeah.
actually, keep people stuck. What's
Yeah.
one piece of advice that may sound responsible, but really is not helpful?
I I would say a lot of the advice that I heard back when I was first starting, it I believe the intention was to be helpful. The intention was to make us responsible, but it really was scary. Like, it was scary to hear everything that you are doing is wrong. You need to do this different, because I think we feel like we're doing everything right because we are surviving. We're doing enough to keep the lights on. We're doing enough to keep food on the table. So we are surviving. So we feel like we're doing everything right. So when someone comes in and they say that, no, 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 you're doing everything wrong, don't do that anymore, do this, I feel like that keeps a lot of people stuck. If I would say, us taking our own accountability for the decision that we make, what keeps us stuck is the waiting. I think sometimes
Mm.
we're always waiting for the perfect amount of money, the perfect time. We're waiting until life calms down, and then we say, okay, when everything is cool, then I'll start dealing with my money. We're
Mhm.
waiting until maybe we get a raise or we get, a tax return. It's always a waiting, but there really is so much lost time, because
Mhm.
life is going to always life. That's just never going to stop. So I think it's so important when we're trying to build financial confidence, when we're trying to get unstuck, when we're trying to take advantage of micro money moves, that we stop waiting for the right time or for everything to be perfect and just start moving now.
That's that's so amazing, Deja. I think you what you said is so true. Oftentimes people are like, I'm not ready yet. I'm
Yeah.
waiting to get ready, right?
Yeah.
Ready is not a feeling. Ready is a decision, right? You got
Yes.
to
Yes.
lean into it and do the hard things anyway, right? Rip the band-aids off. I love the micro moves that
Yes.
phrasing, micro moves. It's the smallest thing. It starts with a decision and taking that one step that gets you closer to where you want to be. And
Yes.
so I love micro moves. That's you're gonna hear me say that. I'm gonna borrow that. I'm gonna borrow that. I'm gonna start making micro moves myself.
Yes.
Stage. I'm gonna start doing that myself. So I want to talk about fine print
Mm-hmm.
because there's a lot of fine print everywhere, and there's a lot of
Yes.
it, right? In a regular person's budget, when it comes to the junk fees, the traps, most people don't even notice. What's some advice that you can share with the audience and the folks today around those? I'm going to say the fine print, the junk fees, and things of that nature.
I think that's something so important to pay attention to, because the same way that micro moves builds momentum, it's the exact same things. Those micro amounts, those micro fees, they can add up really, really quickly. So while it may be $2 here, $5 here, oh, it was $1.29 at the vending machine to use my card. You do that so many times in a week. By the time you look up, you've already wasted $100 on things that you can't even account for. When I think about how hard we work, which I believe everyone on the call today works hard for the money that they make, I don't want to leave a penny unaccounted for. So while a penny may seem so small in the grand scale of things, it's so important to pay attention to everything that is coming out of your account and why. We may think because it's so small, it doesn't matter, but it matters just as much as micro moves can be a pro. It can really be a con if you don't use it correctly or pay attention to it.
So very true. It's interesting how my grandmother used to say, a budget is everyone should have a budget because
Yeah.
when you have a budget, you are telling your money where to go versus sitting up and wondering where did my money go?
Hmm.
What wondering where it went. If you have a budget, you are clearly creating a plan for
Yes.
every penny that is coming in
Yes.
the door, and you know where you're sending that penny to versus wondering, okay, how am I short this month?
Yeah.
Or how am I short this week? You at least have a plan and you are orchestrating that versus being on the hills.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I even want to add to that. I think sometimes people make budgeting way more complicated than it has to be. You are in total control of your budget. You can make the budget look like whatever you want it to look like because you are telling it what to do. And some people may say, well, I don't know how to budget, or I tried it and it wasn't successful. And we don't give ourselves enough credit because if you go to the grocery store and you say, oh, I'm only going to spend $100, that's a budget. If you go shopping and you say, "Oh, my budget is just $50," that's a budget happening in real time. So we know how to budget. Give yourself some credit. So if you've gone anywhere, shopped, spent any type of money, and you have stayed under whatever balance you set for yourself that day, that is you budgeting in real time. Now, all you have to do is make it make sense on a piece of paper, Excel spreadsheet, whatever, it is that you use. I think a budget is so beneficial because if not for anything, you get to map out all of your expenses, all of your income, and you put yourself in the driver's seat on what's going to happen next with your money.
It's so true. What do you want to pass down besides or beyond money, habits? What are the conversations? What's the mindset? How young is too young to start?
If it's anything besides money that I want to pass down to my children, not only necessarily to my children, but just like the younger generation and my family, I would say perseverance. I
Mm.
want them more than anything to learn how to keep going. So, more than money, more than investments, more than anything, I think having that as a skill is so important because life is going to happen. Everything could be perfect right now, but then something could happen tomorrow and completely knocks you off of your square. They may make some mistakes. It may be some things financially that unfortunately I can't help them avoid, and they may encounter some setbacks, but I want them to have the will, the desire, and the know-how to pick up and keep going, not to panic every time life happens or something doesn't go according to plan. I want to pass down the ability to say, okay, this happened. It is what it is. Now we just got to keep on moving forward. That's something that would make my day. And I talk to my community about that a lot because a lot of us may not be in positions to pass down millions of dollars or real estate to the next generation. But that skill, which is a free skill, something that we can pass down and teach them, I feel like that will carry them through anything. So that would be something I would want to pass down. And when I think about how young is too young, I have two children, 18 and 14. I started talking about money with them really early. I don't think that there is too young. Of course, the concept and the conversations will change as they get older, but the moment a child can ask for something, you know how babies are, they pick up something they want it. We can start having conversations about money and using money to purchase goods and services. We can start having that conversation. It's going to look differently as they age, but I don't think that any young is too young. I think we can start having those conversations as early as possible.
I so agree with you. My granddaughter is now 7. We started having money conversations when she was 5 because she's a shopper. She likes to shop. She likes to go to the mall, but the concept of the cost of things
Hmm.
became part of that conversation and her saving for things that she really wanted,
Yes.
that were important to her. And it's funny how when she wants something, and it's one thing when grandma's going to buy it. It's another thing when grandma's like, you got to buy it with your money. She's like, oh, I don't want it that bad. She can make a good decision about money real quick, right then and there. It costs too much, right? There's a cost for everything. You mentioned early on, Deja, in our conversation, not being a financial, you don't have to be a financial expert to build
Yeah.
or build healthy habits. You just need the right resources and a place to start, right? And I think that's one of the reasons why we're sitting down having this conversation with you,
Hmm.
because that's what DreamFi is, right? We are a resource and we wanted to provide a place to start, right? The education, the information, and things of that nature. Hello, Attorney Crump.
Hi, how's everybody doing?
Hey.
Good, good. How
Thank
are
you.
you?
I am busy beyond belief, but I'm happy to be able to join Dana. And Deja, it's a pleasure to meet you.
You as well.
Thank you for helping teach so many in the community about financial literacy. So I look forward to learning today as well, Deja.
Well, since you came in hot, Attorney Crump, I'm gonna toss a question to you. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So when you look at how generational wealth gets stripped down from communities, um, predatory lending, junk fees, fine print, where is the damage happening the most? People never even saw or expected.
It really is a self perpetuating uh, victimization of people who are the most vulnerable. And what I have learned, Dana, as I've accumulated some measure of wealth, is we get benefits because we have good credit scores. We get, bank accounts banking us, making our money work for us. Poor, marginalized people never get those opportunities. And so the first lesson is trying to learn how can I make sure that I have a budget that I can pay my debts on time so that I won't be flagged. And I learn to live within my means. I learn how to be disciplined. But most importantly, I think, Dana, is it's one thing, and this is why I love DreamFi, and we have these conversations with thought leaders like Miss Kennedy here, is because I don't want you just to give me fish when I say I'm hungry. I want you to teach me how to fish so I won't be beholden to you and I can be independent. And so the thing that I see the worst to answer your question directly is people who simply do not know what the right thing to do is. And so we have to meet them where they're at. You have to talk to them about, hold on, let's first understand some basic rules that if you make, $50,000, your monthly expenses can't be $50,000. You have to, those basic things. So I think that's where a lot of the damage is done because when you're in a desperate situation, the predatory lenders, they then come in and they see you as a victim. And we're going to not help you not be a victim because we get the profit off you being a victim. And the one thing I do, it breaks your heart, these check cashing lines for a lot of people in our community who don't have a bank account that they have to go pay 10 and 20% just to get their check cashed. Now, what could they do with that 10 or 20% to help build up their credit, to help get savings for something that they are focused on, whether it's just a automobile that is something that's going to not have problems, that can get them to and from work, where they won't have to be without compensation or unemployed. So it's those minor things where you try to meet people exactly where they're at and say, we all were there.
Hmm.
Was there. I mean, I had nobody in my family, Miss Kennedy, like you, to teach me about money when I was coming up. So we all made 100 mistakes, and hopefully we can help people know from our experience, our mistakes, our experiences, where they don't have to make those mistakes. I know I went a little long with today, and I didn't mean it, y'all.
It's all right.
I'm in
It's all right.
Mississippi. We're dealing with a lot of emotional stuff. So
Yeah. No, we
thank
we
you.
all we all understand the work that you're doing besides this work as well. So definitely appreciate those nuggets. I have a follow-up question though, Attorney Crump. How does a family protect its money from systems designed to take advantage of them? You mentioned the predatory lending and things of that nature. How does a family start? What's the first move that they can make to protect their money?
You know, I think there are all types of things that you start to do when you start to understand financial literacy and you learn. The first thing you try to do is everybody, man, y'all know the kind of work I do and my main job, civil rights work, and we have personal injury, wrongful death. There are so many people who don't have basic life insurance. And so when an emergency situation comes, they are nowhere prepared for it. And so then you are in a worse situation because you were not proactive. And it's one of those things you always try to continue to read, you try to learn. Uh, I tell everybody in my family, everybody I love, and so forth, y'all, let's make sure we don't go out and invest in things that are depreciating assets. Let's
Mm,
try to figure out if we're going to buy an automobile, let's make sure that it's something that we can afford to make the payments on time. Let's make sure we have a car insurance. So if it's in a collision, that you can have it repaired. It's those basic things that are so elementary that we take for granted that we have to do to try to protect our families. The other things you try to do, if you can, uh, and we meet people where that you always want to have wills. We talk about trust. We'll get there down the road. You want to have life insurance. So and if you can, you want to have disability insurance
mm,
because nobody knows what, you know, may happen. I'm sure until last week, Nolan Wells' family never thought they would be dealing with stuff like this. So you can't predict what
mm.
curveballs life are going to throw at you. So you try to be proactive as best you can. You try to say these are going to be the foundational things we have. Like what we try to do at DreamFi is give benefits that include not only life insurance, but includes teletherapy, where you can get prescription drugs on a discounted basis. Things that, you know, are just elementary we take for granted, but to some people, it's a matter of whether they eat or whether they can get their pharmaceutical prescription filled. And so if we can save them $50 or $60, that can matter. And so it's those things trying to be proactive to protect your family from a financial apocalypse. And it can happen to anybody. Only other thing I say is this, and then I want to hear from Miss Kennedy because I really want to learn, Miss Kennedy. And that is, man, saving. You know, you have to be able to save something out of your check every month. If you're not saving something, then really you are just, your money never gets a chance to work for you. My partners, Jared and Steve and them, they have taught me through lived experiences that, you know, poor people work to make money. Rich people have their money work for them. And that is the goal, to try to get smarter with your money, where you can work smarter and don't always have to work so hard, where you can have quality time with your family and have life abundantly, as we learn in the scripture. So thank you, Dana, for that question.
Yeah, thank you, Attorney Crump. Deja, you translate this information to the ground level. What is
Mhm.
one conversation that families should be having around the dinner table that they don't?
I think honestly, to piggyback off of Attorney Ben Crump, is exactly what he said. We should be having conversations before financial crisis happen. So that's being proactive, that's having protections in place. I think sometimes, and it's unfortunate that when we do have these conversations around the dinner table, something major has happened. Maybe someone in the family is on the brink of losing their home, or there's been a death in the family. And it almost puts us in a situation where we're desperate now to make decisions versus if we were proactive or had these conversations ahead of time, we would have been able to have a plan. So I think that that's very important for families to discuss those type of topics. And they can be hard, they can even be sad, but they are so necessary.
Absolutely.
Man,
Yep, couldn't agree more. The thing is, building wealth is only half the fight, right? Protecting it is the other half. And to Attorney Crump's point, DreamFi helps you do both, right? That's really part of our mission as well.
and Dana, can I interject?
Absolutely.
Wills are so important because when that day comes, you want to have your family in the best position possible. And I know too often I am seeing we try to build generational wealth. We have home ownership. We get a home. We may even have enough insurance to pay off the house if it wasn't paid off when Big Mama died or G Pop died, and the house is passed on. But then they have it where it's to five people split evenly. We want to give it to all the children. Yeah, you have to be proactive even in that there. Sometimes it's better to say, let me find out who is very responsible. Let's leave it in their name to make sure that the taxes are going to be paid. Because once you pay off your house and you burn the mortgage, now it's yours. But if you don't pay the taxes, then the county comes and take the house from you. And we've seen that happen so many times when you thought you were doing the right thing, passing on generational wealth and material things in our homes. But generational wealth really is about passing on a mentality, passing on financial literacy to be able to say, hold on, if we own this house outright, we got to make sure we pay the taxes on it. We got to make sure we have homeowners insurance on it so we can protect this asset. So let's have a will. Let's talk about in that will and let you know your family better than anybody know your family. You know who's going to be responsible to pay the taxes. You know who's going to do not smart things with money. I was about to say stupid thing, but we know those people who exist in our family. So we have to be proactive again and say in the will that, okay, you know, my daughter Michelle is the responsible person, and her brother Curtis and Randy are not as responsible. Make it in the will where the house is going to go to Michelle, and then if she sells the house, if they find that is in the best interest to keep their generational wealth accruing, that she will split the proceeds with her brothers. But let's not put it in all three of their names where they go out and do something that is not intelligent. And then everybody loses. That often happens with family land that we have in our community. They will pick off the weakest person, and then that generational wealth, that generations, great grandmother, great grandfather, grandparent, your parents worked for, slave for, and now you got it, and your cousin go sell the rights, or your brother go sell the rights because they are in a desperate situation. So that we cannot talk about being proactive enough, thinking about your life, thinking about your wealth, thinking about generational wealth, and thinking about best to help your families. What we talked about last time, Deja, was survivor's remorse. When the one person kind of makes it out of the trap, the vicious cycle, and now they feel obligated to try to help save everybody. But if you ain't in a good place, you can't save nobody. So it's those lessons.
Absolutely, absolutely. So as we bring, we're going to move to the Q&A. I see a lot of questions for both of you, Attorney Crump and Deja. So I see a lot of questions coming in. So we definitely want to have some time to get to those questions. But one more question for both of you before we wrap. What's one specific action for everyone that they can take in the next 24 hours? Not someday, not tomorrow, but in the next 24 hours. What's one thing that everybody on the line can do that can help move them one step forward?
I would immediately say, and this probably will take about 30 minutes. They can even do this today. Sit down with yourself and have what I call a money date. Open up every account, every piece of mail, anything that you think that you may owe or have, and go through everything. This is not a place for judgment. This is not a place for shame. This is just an opportunity for you to reconnect with your money, because awareness is the first step to action. So before you can start doing anything, get deeply involved. I always say have an intimate conversation with you and your bank account and see what you got going on so that you can create a plan of action.
Love that. Have a money day. Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have a money day. It might not be tomorrow, but yeah, I'll have a money day. I commit. Y'all are my witnesses. I'm committing to my money day. Uh, Attorney Crump, what's one thing people can do in the next 24 hours that'll move them one step
Yeah.
forward?
Yeah, I love what Miss Kennedy just said. Have a money date with you and your money. And, and figure out, the Bible says the fool and their money will soon depart. So let's not be foolish. Let's try to be wise with money. The one thing I think, and I try to do this myself, and it's something you can do, because the common denominator, if you find yourself overwhelmed and struggling every month when you make money, I think it was Dr. Lynn Richardson said, making more money isn't the solution if you continue to have bad habits, and so you have to come up with good habits. And one good habit we can all do, and especially now that we got technology, John D. Rockefeller actually said this here. Young Spelman student asked him at the 5-year anniversary of Spelman University, how does I can imagine in my mind's eye Dana and Dacia's sister who was at Spelman saying, how do a person become a millionaire? Boldly asked him Rockefeller that while he was on their campus. And he said, as an accountant, he's a bean counter. He said, I guess the easiest answer to that question is a person to become a millionaire has to figure out how to save 100 million pennies. I mean, when you break it down to the most elementary aspect. And so you have to be honest with yourself. You have to look in the mirror and say, I'm the common denominator. If I get raises and I'm still in this situation, no matter what, I'm robbing Peter to pay Paul. I can't get my credit score above 620. I'm the common denominator. What am I going to change about me to be able to have a more firm financial footing? And I believe if you follow the example of Rockefeller, he had, Ledger A, which is obviously a famous thing now, and he started it when he was like 11 years old. Every week, every month, he would write down everything he spent. He would keep a count of everything. He said he had a philosophy that he believed if you knew where your money was going and you was meticulous and kept track of it, you would spend your money less foolishly. Let that sink in now, because think about, I got my paycheck 2 weeks ago, and I don't want to end up at the end of that 2 weeks saying, Dog, I wonder where my money went. No, you can know where your money went. You write it down every day at the end of the day. What did I spend my money on? What did I get on Amazon? Where did I go and get whatever new shoes, or what did I do with getting a new tint on my car? You know what you spend your money on. You just got to be honest enough to write it down. And so when you spent all your money at the end of that 2 weeks and you find yourself in a bad situation, you got to say, how can I prevent this from happening next pay period? I'm going to scratch this off the list. I can do without this because I want to make a difference and it starts with me. And that's what you call taking accountability for yourself. And that's why I love Miss Kennedy's date with money, money date.
Yes, love that, love that. So, one question we see in the Q&A a lot is, what is DreamFi? So, we're going to take a moment here to just share what DreamFi is, and then we have I'm going to try to get to at least the next 5 questions from the chat, and we'll, because I want to be respectful of everyone's lunch hour. But we really appreciate everyone joining us in for today's conversation. Brittany, I'll ask you to play the video, and then we'll go to Q&A.
What if one membership could help protect your family and build your future? Attorney Ben Crump founded DreamFi to give our communities real tools and real power on the path to financial freedom. DreamFi members get checking with no minimum balances. Plus, included in every membership at no extra cost, telehealth for the whole family, $5,000 in life insurance, 24/7 roadside assistance, cell phone protection, and savings on prescriptions, phone plans, and more.
I help build DreamFi because our communities deserve more than just bank accounts. You deserve a prosperous financial future, and DreamFi is here to help.
Don't wait to start your journey today. Try DreamFi free for 30 days, then just $9.99 a month. Visit dreamfi.com to get started. Member benefits subject to change. See complete terms at dreamfi.com. Banking services provided by FinWise Bank, member FDIC.
Thanks, Brittany. So one of the questions we have, and it comes from Katika J, and it's, when reducing credit card debt, what is the best method? Attacking the one with the highest interest or the lowest balance?
I'll answer that. I would say that becomes a personal decision. Both of them work really well. I see people use either or, but it really becomes a personal decision. Of course, if you attack the one with the highest interest rate, in the long run, you're going to save so much more money. However, for most people who just need to get started, attacking the lowest balance works best for them because the cost to entry is normally much lower because the balance is lower. So it comes down to a personal decision. Both of them work really, really well. So you can't go wrong with either one because you are getting started. It just all depends on what works for you. If you only look at it by the numbers and math, of course, attacking the one with the interest rate because you'll save more money in the long run. But if you just need to get started and money is a concern for you, you don't have that much to throw at the debt, then I would say attacking the one with the smallest balance would probably be the better choice too.
Awesome. Thank you for that.
And I'll just say I concur completely with Miss Kennedy because it's psychological too, y'all. It's very psychological. I mean, just being able to pay off that one credit card and know that you can do it. That is a huge victory. And then you say, once you do that one, I can do another one. And it's like me going to, when I train, I try to psych myself out and say, you know what? I'm gonna look so good. I'm gonna look fine if I go in this gym and I work out and so forth. And I can think of 100 reasons not to do it, but I convince myself to do it. And when I do it, I feel so much better. And so you just convince yourself you can do it, and you can do it.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that, both of you. Tiffany W., is there a budgeting app that you favor for basic budgeting? I'll start with you, Deja.
For, now, this may surprise a lot of people, but for me, I am still very, very old school. I do a lot with writing. So I still write things down and I will use Excel spreadsheets as well. But for me, I'm more of a mental, if I can write it and get it out of my head, it sticks with me more. But that's just how I am. But I will let someone else chime in on that because I'm still very old school when it comes to budgeting.
I will chime in on this one. I have used many different apps. You Need a Budget is one I probably stuck with the longest. But I too have fallen back to, I find that writing it down, I feel more connected with the process. And so I have now have a notebook that's specific for budgeting. So I too, Deja, am very old school. The math, it makes it make sense for me and it keeps me connected to it. But there are so many tools out there. I've seen in the chat QuickBooks, Excel. I think you have, it's a little more trial and error and
Yeah.
what your styling is and what really works for you. If you're on the go person, sometimes the app works. But I carry my notebook every place I go. As Attorney Crump said, I'm writing down what I'm spending my money on, if I go to the vending machine or not.
Yeah. One thing to add to that too is when you are writing it down, it sticks with you more versus you letting an app do all of the work for you because then you have to ask yourself, do you really know how to budget? Do you really understand what's happening if all of the technology and calculations is being done behind the scenes? So for me, when I was first starting out, doing it pen and paper or with an Excel spreadsheet where I still have to do the calculations, that worked the best for me because I knew for sure that I could 100% do this versus an app doing all of the work for me.
Awesome. Awesome. And to piggyback on that, Siobhan F asked, what's the best way to get started? The best way to create the budget?
The easiest way is writing down all of your expenses and then subtracting them from your income. That's literally all that a budget is. And then at the end, you're either going to be in the positive or the negative. And then that becomes where you start making the plan at. Do I need to cut back on expenses or increase the income? Or am in a good space? Maybe after you do all of the subtractions, let's say you got $500 left over and you realize I'm never seeing this extra $500. So where is it? That's when you start combing through your bank statements, combing through all of your documents, trying to find that extra $500. And then when you find it, now you need to find somewhere for it to go. Maybe that's savings, paying off debt, or investing. But that's all the budgeting is. That's how you start list every expense that you have on a monthly basis and subtract it from your income. One piece of advice I want to give about expenses. Expenses can be anything. So if you're someone that likes to get your hair done, your nails done, or maybe it's something you enjoy on a monthly basis, it could be going out to eat every other Friday. That is an expense that you need to add into your budget so that you can be proactive and account for that instead of pulling that money from the light bill or the rent. And then you realize that when something major is due, you don't actually have the money. So anything that you know you like to spend money on a monthly basis, it needs to be added into your budget so that then you can start making the changes or adjustments when you need it.
Great advice.
Wow.
Great advice.
Deja, like yourself, people who really studied these phenomena, and I can't say thank you enough. Even somebody like me, I always am eating out because I'm traveling all the time. I need to think about that in my budget as well. And I will say these two things, Dana, to answer that question. Number one, the best time to start your budget was yesterday. But since we can't go back in time, you do it today. You make an affirmation to yourself. Before I go to sleep tonight, it may just be me on a notepad, but I'm going to write something down because I'm going to be honest to myself, making a declaration. I'm going to change me today. It starts with you. And that's the first thing. The second thing I'll say, it is so good, Dana. Thank you for insistence that we keep having these conversations because the more you talk about it, it becomes front of mind. And when things are front of mind, then you're more likely to do them than when you say, oh, lolly dolly, I get to it when I can. You know, nah. Every time I think you and your girlfriends, you and your boyfriends, your fraternity brothers, sorority sisters, we should all bust the money date with ourselves, as Deja said, but we should have a money date with each other. And we talk about when we go out, hey man, are we supporting businesses in our community? Where are we spending our money at? How can we do better to support each other to build up collective economics within my friend group? You know, and it's those things like that. That the mechanic we go to, does he support issues? The doctors we choose, the restaurants we go to, you know, the places where we take our children to have their birthday parties. Everything should be tied in to what helps enhance your community and your value. It's these conversations that make those things be front of mind. So and I got that from Deja. Even my food, I'm gonna be trying to figure out. I know I like to eat, so God, I'm gonna get 2 meals a day at least, and I'm probably gonna be on the road. And I like to eat good, Dana. So I need to go ahead and say $100 for my meal and write it out there.
Good luck on that. I'm gonna check in with you and see how that's going for you.
Yes, ma'am.
You got accountability now, Attorney Crump. You put it out there.
Yes, ma'am.
And that's the
And
other
I'm
thing
probably
about
gonna
having,
I'm accounting and paying for other people who having lunch or
yes,
dinner with me too.
absolutely, absolutely. And I think that's the thing about these conversations, right? It helps when you are able to have the conversation with those in your friend group and things of that nature, in your family, where this is what I'm working on. They can help hold you accountable. You can help hold them
Hmm.
accountable so that you can be on that journey together and not necessarily feel like you're alone. DreamFi is creating this space because we want to be on the journey with people on as they go from where they are to where they want to be. And so that's what makes this conversation so important. I know we're getting close to time, so I want to be respectful of everyone's lunch hour. Deja, thank you, thank you, thank you so much for spending time with us, sharing your knowledge and expertise with us for what you do on an everyday basis with your community. So appreciate you and what you bring to the world, and thank you for what you brought to this conversation today.
Oh,
Attorney,
thank you so much.
we appreciate you so much, as you know, for what you do in your day job, but also for having the vision for what DreamFi is and for spending time with us as well. For each and every one of you that joined us today, for those that registered and weren't able to make it but are watching this on replay, we really thank you for taking the time to register and wanting to be a part of this conversation and committing to that for you and for your families. And want to thank you all. And until our next conversation, enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you, Deja. Thank you, Dana.
Thank you.
Thank you.